Question. Do I have tea? Answer. Yes, I do. So one of my friends reached out to me after I did the last video and said, hey, I really like your videos. Much appreciated. By the way, if you like these videos, you can like them and also subscribe because that really helps me out. But this friend said, I like your videos. And have you ever been to the O'Neill? The O'Neill, for those of you who are wondering, is a theater center in New England, Connecticut, I think. It's the location of the National Puppetry Conference. So I was like, yeah, I've done the National Puppetry Conference virtually, but I've never been in person. He said, well, you know, there's a thing that they used to do at the National Puppetry Conference called Tea Time. And I remember Tea Time. Tea Time was this really cool thing. There was this puppeteer called Jim Rose, part of a long tradition of American puppeteers. And Jim would just take some time every day to give everybody a break, and they would all come to the tea time and just talk about stuff not related to work. Just kind of take a break from developing new puppet acts or building marionettes or whatever you were doing at the puppet conference. And just talk about life and philosophy and whatever you wanted to talk about, family, relationships, all different kinds of stuff. And it was a great way to push pause and let your brain go and kind of... So basically, it's exactly what I'm doing here. Only mine is focused more on puppetry. It's basically nothing like what I'm doing here. It was like therapeutic and fun. Anyway, he said, since Jim has passed, we've started calling it Puppet Tea. Now, I must have known this, having been a participant in the O'Neill and being part of the puppetry community. But somehow, subconsciously, I pushed that to the back of my mind and thought that I had totally come up with the concept for Puppet Tea on my own. And, you know, it's a standard thing for puppeteers. Puppeteers love wordplay. If there's one thing we love to do, it's put puns in our company names. So, you know, it seemed like a natural fit, Puppet Tea. But, of course, it had already been done, and I probably knew about it. So, what does this mean? Does this mean that I owe an apology to Jim Rose's family, to puppeteers everywhere? Should I stop making videos and move on to something else? Should I rename the show? Well, I think this is a good opportunity to talk about the creative process. I've wasted hours, days, weeks, months of my life trying to be wholly original. And I think that's an obstacle more than it is a help. Because I set out to do something wholly original. And of course, you don't want to be derivative. You don't want to rip somebody off on purpose. But your brain's like a blender. You throw a bunch of stuff in it, and then when you sit down to write or draw or record a video, whatever comes out is just like what's in your brain. And consciously or subconsciously, it all gets mixed together, and then you wind up with this you know, smorgasbord of stuff. And that's how everything has been created, you know, since the dawn of time. Gene Roddenberry, when he was making Star Trek, was inspired by a show called Wagon Train. And it's basically the same concept as Star Trek. It's just not in space. So he combined some of the like space elements with that. And of course it grew and it evolved and it became something totally different from Wagon Train. But that was the beginning of the idea. And so that's part of the creative process, is accepting that your subconscious is mining for ideas all the time. And there's this whole idea of intellectual property and copyright ownership. You don't own ideas. You can't own ideas. You can just have trademarks. You can copyright a screenplay, which is like a specific execution of ideas. But you can't own an idea itself. So something like, you know, take Doctor Who, a time traveling, or an alien who travels through time and space with companions. Well, that's a concept. You could do your own iteration of that concept, right? You could come up with a totally different alien that travels through time and space, and maybe his companions are totally different from the way Doctor Who does their companions. But it's you're not stealing from Doctor Who, because you're taking the idea, which is not copyrightable, in a totally different direction. Fair warning, I'm not a lawyer. This should not be considered legal advice. Also, copyright is a really moving target because there's different laws in different parts of the world. However, as far as I'm aware, and again, this is not legal advice, but nowhere in the world is owning an idea a thing. Like, you can have a patent, but that's for like a specific set of blueprints and drawings. And once I got past that, once I gained that knowledge, I was more easily able to create and write, because I wasn't like panicking so much about trying to be original all the time. I just started making things and seeing what happened. And if it was, a copy of something somebody else had done in some way, well, that's no big deal, because, what's that quote? Everything that needs to be said has already been said, but no one was listening, so everything must be said again. Boom. I can't think of a better way to sum it up than that. You're not gonna reinvent the wheel. You're probably not gonna solve everybody's problems in a totally fresh way. Even something like totally innovative that nobody would have thought of before, like the iPhone, is basically just a new way to solve old problems, right? Like, the ideas of the iPhone had never been combined in that specific way, but they were built on previous ideas. So when you go out to create your iPhone, or your puppeteer, or whatever it is that you're going to create, don't let the fear of being unoriginal stop you. Just go for it, and do the best you can do with whatever you've got to work with. Because that's all we've got to work with anyways. Anyway, I'm really sorry that I accidentally stole Jim Rose's idea / the puppeteer concept from the O'Neill alumni. I'm very sorry. I truly did not mean to. Totally an accident. But I think since this is a different kind of thing, it's not a roundtable group. It's a video series, and it's just me and you guys in the comments. I think I'll probably keep it going in the format that it is. Unless you have a better idea, that I'm all ears. So please leave a comment if you have a better idea. In the meantime, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and do all those things. It helps me. And I'll be doing more of these videos. So let me know what you think and what your thoughts are, and I will see you next time. I'm just gonna drink this tea.